Sometimes it is so tempting when we look at our current circumstances, when we hear gunshots, when we hear news every morning, every night that people are being killed, even people that we know have been shot and have been killed. It's very easy for our faith to be shattered.
Welcome to the AsiaLink Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Gawley, and we're delighted you've taken time to find out about Asia and the mission of God to reach all the nations. AsiaLink exists to reach the unreached of Asia with the gospel of Christ. We do this by supporting, training, and encouraging Asian believers to share the powerful gospel of Jesus within their own cultures. This is episode 1. In this episode, we'll be catching up on what's happening in Myanmar from one of our partners there. We'll also be hearing from Beth Montgomery, who'll introduce us to OINK. More on that in a moment. First, we go to Myanmar. Most of us will be aware of the tragedy unfolding in the country formerly known as Burma. The military, called the Tatmadaw, staged a coup on February the 1st, arresting National League for Democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi and others in her ruling party. After weeks of peaceful protests, the military have begun to use more and more violence. The death toll has surpassed 500 as we record this, and there seems no obvious solution to the crisis. I was speaking to one of our partners there this morning. There is a great deal of fear, especially for Christians who know that the military junta are determined enemies of Christ and his flock. I began by asking him what he had seen recently.
I think the first thing I've seen is the madness of man, and yet at the same time, the goodness of man. You know, when you see a general who is so thirsty for power that he would do anything, even killing people, bringing the whole nations to an abrupt stop and chaos, just so that he can be in power, in the positions of power, it's just amazing. It's just disturbing just to think that a man can behave and think in such that. And also at the same time, I can also see a goodwill in humanity, in that people will come, will have the senses, will have the courage, would have the desire to fight for what is true and what is necessary for a peaceful existence of another human being, that they would put their life on the street, that they would put their life on the line, that they would be willing to shed their blood for their brothers, for their sisters, for their community, for their cities, for their countries. So I've seen the worst of man and the best of man in the past week.
Yeah. And how has this coup affected the situation in Myanmar for the whole church generally? How is it affecting the church?
Number one, a lot of Christians are very, very scared right now because we know that we will be the first target if the military continue to succeed and are in power and hold on to this power. Because in the past years, we all are putting a low profile in our country. Even places where we plant churches, we don't really tell. That's why you don't have a Christian directory in Myanmar. It's simply because people don't want to put up their informations so that people can have access to your whereabouts and your activities. But now in the past 5 or 10 years, we have a relative freedom, and under that, we began to, in some ways, publicize some of the places where we go. Now, suddenly, if we are back in the hands of the military, we have been very exposed to them. And a lot of our places of operations, they will know it by now. So we fear that if their coup continue to succeed, they will come after us in a very systematic way and demolish everything that is being built for many, many decades.
Are you saying that you think the church was starting to come out from underground, but is now having to say we need to go back underground?
Correctly. Right now, that's what we start doing it.
Yeah. And so, how has that affected the church leaders that you're connect? How has it affected your ability to communicate with and connect with the church leaders, the missionaries, evangelists, church leaders that you're connected with? How has all of this affected that?
At this point, it is too early to feel the sudden effect of that, other than our internalizations of what could happen and the implications of what this would look like. But as far as our daily, weekly operations, we still operate normally, because right now, whether you are Buddhist, whether you are Christian or Muslim, whether you are from the east or from the north or from central Myanmar, we are all against this military coup. So we are all on the same boat at the moment. But eventually, some of us will turn their backs on us in order to get favor from the government, from the military. So that's where the rubber will meet the road, and that's where we need to be more careful with people we speak to, people we share about what we do in a tea shop or in a coffee shop. So we will have to be more careful in the coming weeks, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
And if you could share a little bit about how it's affected you personally, what's safe for you to share with us, how has it affected you personally?
Well, I have always been quite active in terms of political situations here in the country. And I have participated in the peaceful demonstrations the first week or so. I stand in front of the UNO office, I stand in front of the US Embassy, the UK Embassy, and in some of the landmarks here in downtown Yangon. And in one of my activity, a journalist took my photo, and that photo has gone viral because of my physical situation or conditions. So although no detailed information was given, but clearly my face was there. So I fear that because that goes very viral, that it might go into the hands of the military or people of their informants, and that they will eventually trace me back. So I feel in some ways that I could be under their watch right now. So I just need to be very careful, even with the phone conversation that I have, especially in the Burmese language with my colleague in the office. And I'm careful when I visit our church members, because I don't want those church members to suffer or to be under scrutiny because of me, because of their association with me. So I just try to confine myself between visiting school and staying at home.
Yeah. And then we hear this and we say, how can we pray as a church? We want to hold you up as brothers and sisters. What can we pray for?
First of all, please pray that we will continue to remain faithful in the face of this chaos. Faithfulness, always reminding us of God's sovereignty, always reminding us of God's faithfulness, always reminding us of God's ever-presence in our midst. Sometimes it is so tempting when we look at our current circumstances, when we hear gunshots, when we hear news every morning, every night that people are being killed, even people that we know have been shot and have been killed. It's very easy for our faith to be shattered. So please pray, especially for young believers, that they will stand firm in the faith. And secondly, that somehow in the midst of this chaos, that somehow Christian churches as individual or as churches, that we will be able to find a way to demonstrate God's love, to demonstrate God's message of salvation to our needy, to our struggling friends, neighbors, and people in our community.
Yeah, I thank you so much, and that's so humbling and challenging to hear. And I just want to say to you that we love you, we care, we will pray, and I will encourage everybody I can to pray for you, for Myanmar at this time. We're one body around the world, aren't we? And we're family.
Yes.
And that's all we can offer is our prayers and our support in that way, and call upon our.
In fact, that's the
Father.
very, very thing that we need first and foremost. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, brothers, thank you so much for sharing that, and I just hope and pray that it will encourage brothers and sisters to hold you up in prayer before our Father. Thank you so much. Well, it's great to introduce Beth Montgomery to us now. Beth's joining us to tell us about OINK. What is OINK?
It's a teaching resource, Jim, that teaches children about a country in Southeast Asia. So it's a teaching resource that is hoping to inspire children, probably primary age school children, to inspire them how they can be part of that Great Commission and how that what they do for the gospel and what they do in reaching out for others can impact lives, not only in their own kind of neighbourhoods, but I suppose our focus is on children and on families right across in Southeast Asia. Churches can use it, schools can use it, and individuals can use it. It's a resource of 6 different lessons along with crafts and ideas that you can use for whatever your kind of setting is in using it with children. You don't need to pay for downloading the lessons or using the templates for the crafts or anything like that. What you can do is, if you wish to use this resource and if you wish to engage your children, not only prayerfully, but also practically, you can end up buying a little piglet and your children can save towards that, which is around £40. But if that is not the kind of thing that would suit your group or your family, that's fine. We're just delighted that children are engaging with this project in a way in which they will be able to reach out practically, helping families in Southeast Asia who live in such poverty, Jim, that we don't really understand the poverty in which they live in, but also not only help alleviate that poverty and provide some kind of sustainable income by providing a little piglet that these families can start a little farm, but also within that we're sharing the gospel with all of these rural communities.
And so can you give us an example of how maybe a child or a group of children could sort of cobble together the money to buy one of these piglets?
Oh, yeah, Jim, we have some really fantastic stories coming in of how children are using this. And obviously during lockdown, some families have not been able to access Sunday school groups, or they haven't been able to attend church. So some families have been using this themselves. I think of one family, mum sent in an email to me, tell me about how her little boys decided that they would save for their own piglet. They worked through the OINK project. They prayed for the country, for the family. They learned all about the culture, the festivals, the people, some of the really different kind of animals that are in this country, but how that this project using piglets, or this ministry, how that it's touching lives in Southeast Asia. And so these little guys, they decided to save their money from, well, one of them put his money that he got from the tooth fairy in towards his little piglet. They did chores around the home. One other little fella that I heard about, he wasn't great with literacy, with his reading and writing, and his mum decided that he should write letters and that she would pay him for writing letters to their friends. So she got him to Google all of these different kinds of interesting facts, and then he had to write letters to his friends with the interesting facts in them, and she paid him for each of those letters that he sent to his pals. We have one fella who went to a birthday party, and he told the people in his birthday party all about the OINK project, about what he was learning. And at that birthday party, one little unsaved lad decided that he wanted to learn about this, and he became part of it. And so he has been saving for his own little piglet. I suppose at the core of it, Jim, is not so much the money, is more the fact that children are being inspired and really just grasping with great passion something, and how that they can reach out with the good news of Jesus in their own little way by learning, praying, and if they can support to buy a piglet, well then that's fantastic. If they can't, it's also fantastic the fact that they are using this resource to connect with mission and having their world vision enlarged and their view enlarged of what God's doing.
It sounds great. And if you want to get in touch with us, want to know more about the OINK project, go to www.asialink.org, find the resources tab and then the kids resources tab. There's some information there, and then you can apply to find out more about it. Beth, thank you very much for taking time today to tell us about that, and we'll catch up with you later.
Thanks, Jim. It's my pleasure. And folks, look forward to hearing from you all when you connect into the OINK project. Thanks, Jim.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the AsiaLink podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Do share with friends and join us again next time.